What's up everyone, MeetJP2 here, and in today's video we have level 50 Quagsire in the Ultra Premier. Now the Ultra Premier I feel like is more friendly to Quagsire because there isn't Cresselia, because Cresselia's Grass Knot will shred Quagsire, and there isn't a Giratina Altered, because Giratina Altered will also beat Quagsire. And also I feel like Quagsire, if there are any Steelixes, it is going to be good because it has the ground type damage. And it also is bulkier than Swampert, so I feel like having that little bit of extra bulk might come in handy for it. Now, Quagsire, it does also have Mud Bomb, and Mud Bomb will be able to spam ground type damage faster than Swampert, because Swampert has to farm up to an Earthquake to do any meaningful ground type damage, so I feel like that's also a plus for it. Now on the lead I have Heracross because I wanted a counter user that resists counter, and Heracross is basically the only Pokemon besides Annihilape, and I did kind of use Annihilape in the previous video, and I'd rather not do it again. Now I also have Staraptor, and this Staraptor was able to sweep some games, so I feel like it does kind of steal the spotlight occasionally. So that will be in the battles. So prepare for a couple of Brave Birds landing. And with that, let's get to the battles. Alright, so into the first battle, and we lead Heracross into Annihilape. Now, Annihilape is very awkward for this team because, well, Staraptor does, well, it should beat it. If there are shields in play, it's awkward. I do get a catch, and I really hope it was a Shadow Ball, and it is. So this matchup is instantly made better because their energy is practically wasted. They send in Incineroar, and I'm going to go for a close combat on the CMP tie. At this point, I realize if I can get shields down, Annihilape shouldn't really be very comfortable into Staraptor. So I do decide to shield because I should either get my shield back and just be up a shield, or get switch advantage by going for another close combat. The opponent lets it go, and just like that, we take switch. They then send in Feraligatr, and I make it to a close combat. They're going for a Shadow Claw farm down, but double resisted means that they don't get a farm down. I send in Heracross, and they do make a very nice catch of the Mega Horn. And the Mega Horn, it does land the Annihilape, but it doesn't do too much damage. I am going to farm right back up to 8, try and catch a Shadow Ball, but it looks like the opponent did learn their lesson as they do overfarm. Now they can go for a Shadow Ball, but Quagsire is absurdly bulky, and we will lose CMP here, but they can go for a Night Slash. Night Slash will not KO. Quagsire tanks it, and now I can go for a Mud Bomb. Now my opponent is going to make a very nice play here. They need farm on the Feraligatr, so they let me farm them down, but unfortunately for them, like I should have thrown a move here, but I don't. But unfortunately for them, Mega Horn will win CMP. Mega Horn one-shots the Feraligatr, basically, and we do take that game. We see Shadow Ampharos on the lead in the next battle, and Shadow Ampharos is kind of awkward. Like the regular Ampharos, we can live a Thunder Punch tank very comfortably, but the Shadow, we tank that, but like not very well. Now, if I can go for a Rock Blast and get the shield, I should be able to make it to a second Rock Blast, and they're going to go for a move here. I can shield, and I will make it to a Rock Blast before the Volt Switch registers, and this Rock Blast should KO. Now, Rock Blast gets the shield, actually. Now, I will have to send it in Quagsire because Staraptor would not like this matchup, and I'm really hoping they're not running Trailblaze. They go for a Brutal Swing, so it looks like they aren't, and then they send in Shadow Feraligatr. Now, I do realize at this point that there is a win con where I just go for the back-to-back Mud Bombs. I accidentally overtapped there, and if they had thrown, I could have just lost the game because I needed that Mud Bomb damage, but thankfully they overfarm. And now Staraptor can get a farm down here. I will have to give up my shield, but I should leave with basically enough energy for a Brave Bird. And there really isn't anything that enjoys tanking a Brave Bird from Shadow Staraptor, so this game should be over after I get the farm down. Well, the Ampharos still is in play, and the opponent does make a good play by recognizing that they should bring in the Annihilape to force me to debuff myself. And now, I just go for the Brave Bird. Annihilape will get wrecked by the Brave Bird. And now, the Ampharos cannot farm down, as we do make it to a close combat. I made a perfect overfarm, and it does play in my favor. Close combat takes him out, and we do take that game. We see Heracross into Magnezone in the next battle. This is a very good lead. The opponent immediately sends in Venusaur, and while I can send in Staraptor, this isn't comfortable at all, because they can go for a Sludge Bomb. This probably would nearly take me out. And now, the opponent is going to go for a Frenzy Plant. This is only a Frenzy Plant. They only farmed up to a Frenzy Plant. I was counting. And now, I do get to a full farm down. Unfortunately, I'm low enough that whatever they bring in can just farm down right after I get to go for the close combat. So I can land this close combat, but the Volt Switch will register and get the KO. Now, the opponent's going to throw a move here. I'm assuming it's the Wild Charge. They're just going to Wild Charge and just leave. But then they send in Gallade. Now, while Gallade is a Psychic Fighting type, it does not like Heracross because Heracross resists both its moves. If they're running Synchronoise, then they deserve to win, but looks like they're not. They go for close combat, and now I'm going for a Rock Blast. Now, Rock Blast does grab a shield, and now they can go for a move here. Leaf Blade should come pretty close to KOing, and it nearly does. We get one counter off, and now we can go for a Mud Bomb. Now, this Mud Bomb will, with their debuff defense, nearly take them out. Now, the opponent can go for a Leaf Blade. This will guarantee my shield, and after this, I'm assuming they're going to switch out. They send in Magnezone, and I do realize here that I can tank a Wild Charge, but they actually go for a Mirror Shot, though, so that works just fine for me. Now, I can go for a Mud Bomb into the Magnezone. That will easily take him out, and I can just throw a Mud Bomb right into the Gallade, and we will be able to take this game. We see Primarina on the lead in the next battle, and this match is pretty much guaranteed to be a loss immediately, but the opponent does send in Venusaur. So my Quagsire immediately gets walled, so yeah, it looks like we're just going to get RPS'd here, and that really is unfortunate. Now, they can go for a move. I can just decide to let this go, as Frenzy Plant will take out Quagsire, probably take out multiple Quagsire, but now I can send in Straptor, and I can shield once and get a full farm down. There really isn't anything that's going to enjoy tanking Brave Birds from Straptor, so I should be able to get my shields back. Now, the opponent is going to look like they're waiting out their switch clock, and then they send in Charizard. Strange play going for a close combat, but I can hold a close combat and a Brave Bird. So now this Brave Bird will be threatening, and so I'm assuming I'll be able to get their final shield. Now, I can send in Heracross. They immediately send in Primarina, and suddenly I do see a win con. Despite the horrible lead, if I can get them into a range where I can farm them down with Staraptor and leave with a Brave Bird, Staraptor wins CMP into Charizard, so this game could actually be a win. They throw a Disarming Voice, and now I just need to leave with a Brave Bird. And it looks like we're one short. And they do have a move, so it does look like we're going to lose this game, unfortunately. But despite the awful lead, I think I made that pretty close. We see Haxorus on the lead in the next battle, and this Haxorus is running counter, so they are going to have their fast move be resisted, and that works in my favor. Now, they will be going for a Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe does get the debuff immediately, which is unfortunate, but on the bright side, I can farm up enough that this Rock Blast should be threatening enough into them that they should be able to shield, and now that they shield, I can shield back, and even though I'm debuffed, as long as I don't get debuffed again, I should be able to get a full farm down and leave with a Mega Horn. Now, I do leave with a Mega Horn, and despite what they bring in, it's still not really going to like to see a Mega Horn, so they actually send in Delphox. And while I could go for Rock Blast, I only make one move, and Mega Horn will hit harder, even though Rock Blast is super effective. Now, I send in Quagsire, they send in a Gallade, and I try and catch a Leaf Blade. They do not throw, but they overfarm, and they make a massive misplay, and they lose CMP to Staraptor. Now they're forced to shield a close combat, and they have to go for a close combat of their own to take me out, and they do, but now I can just go for a Mud Bomb, and Mud Bomb will just take out the Gallade. So them losing CMP lost them that game, and they just concede the match, as Delphox never beats Quagsire. We see Chesnaught in the lead in the next battle. The opponent immediately sends in Sylveon, and this Sylveon's running Quick Attack. Now, I catch the Psyshock, and, well, there isn't really anything that in my team that, really just walls Sylveon, so Quagsire is going to have to do. I probably will have to shield the Moonblast, as Moonblast will still hit very hard, which is unfortunate. I'd rather not go down a shield. But then again, I do need to maintain switch advantage. So now the opponent does go for the Moonblast, and we get debuffed. It's a 10% chance. Come on, man. Now they're going to go for a Psyshock here. Psyshock does not take out Quagsire, but thankfully 2 Mud Bombs should be able to take out the Sylveon. Now their switch clock should be up, so I wouldn't be surprised if they switch. I do wait a turn, but then it looks like they waited a turn too, and then they send in Chesnaught. Now, they can go for that, and I send in Heracross. This looks like a misplay. I should be sending in Staraptor, but down a shield, Staraptor still will not enjoy this. Meanwhile, Heracross will hard wall them. So even if they go for a Frenzy Plant, Heracross does tank it, whereas Staraptor still wouldn't, basically. Despite it being resisted, Staraptor still would not like to take a Frenzy Plant. They send in Sylveon, and I should be able to grab my shield back from them, so I get the shield with the Rock Blast. Now, while they do make it to a Psyshock here, I should just let this go, and Staraptor should be able to get a full farm down. So I can send in Staraptor. They immediately switch out, though, which is a good play. And so now the opponent can go for Body Slams. Now, Body Slam, I just need to leave enough HP on Staraptor to be able to make it to another move. And I do catch a Body Slam, but after this, I realized that I might have made a misplay, as they do just go for a shield, they go for an undercharge, and they just get a full farm down. Now, I have to be able to make it to back-to-back close combats and not win CMP, as if I do win CMP, I do get taken out by the Body Slam. Fortunately, it looks like they overfarmed, and we do win the second CMP tie, which is fine, as close combat will take out the Greedent, and Sylveon does get farmed down. And despite making a catch there, that catch could have actually lost me the game. We see Poliwrath on the lead to the next battle. This is looks like a good matchup, but the problem is that Heracross can't hit Poliwrath for any meaningful damage, as both our charge moves are resisted. Now, that is because I'm choosing to run Mega Horn over close combat. I am running Mega Horn because I wanted to be able to hit Psychic types, but I then realized that the main Psychic type, Cresselia, is banned. But I was already halfway through my battles, and I didn't want to just throw out a bunch of battles over Mega Horn, so I decided to keep it. Now, I am going to be able to go for a Mega Horn. This Poliwrath is also running Ice Punch, which is kind of confusing. And now I just send in Staraptor, because they have no shields left. Now, I should be able to just go for a full farm down. The opponent doesn't even switch out. Now, Staraptor, with this much energy, just wins. There's really nothing my opponent can do. I do throw a Brave Bird. That is slightly suboptimal timing. I could have gone for 2 wing attacks, but I didn't want the Incinerate to register. And now they send in Greninja. Close combat would easily take him out, but I wanted to see if Brave Bird would too, and it does. Even if it hadn't, we have a full health Quagsire in the back, so we would have won that game anyways. But Brave Bird just destroys my opponent, and we do take that game. See Aurorus on the lead in the next battle. Opponent sends in Skeledirge, and, well, it's just time for Quagsire. Now, I can go for a Mud Bomb. 2 Mud Bombs should KO, and so we can go for the first one. And now, if the opponent chooses to overfarm, they will have to shield first, because now they're at 100 energy, and I'm assuming they're not going to want to lose that. Now, Shadow Ball does not take out Quagsire. Quagsire is very bulky. And now, they can go for a Disarming Voice, but I should be able to shield. I'm 2 Mud Shots off, so I will be able to make it to a Mud Bomb a singular turn before they make it to another move. I think that was maybe, I'm not sure. But they definitely were not at another move there, because they did go for the Incinerate, so we do just get to take them out. They send back in Aurorus. Now, I can go for a Mud Bomb. Mud Bomb will do some okay damage. We get them into the yellow. I send in Heracross, and they send in Feraligatr. Now, I do win the CMP tie here. However, I really wish they hadn't thrown, because now they can actually no-shield that, and they can just end up going for Hydro Cannon and grab my shield. Now, I do decide that I should make a catch here, because thankfully Staraptor is a normal type, so Shadow Claw does virtually nothing to it, so they never farm down here anyways. And it looks like we have enough HP that the Aurorus can't farm down either. I don't think 2 Powder Snows KOs from that range. Not entirely sure, but it doesn't look like they're going to take the risk. And they do throw a move, but we just get to farm them down. You see Walrein on the lead in the next battle. Walrein, very good lead. Opponent switches out into Gyarados. And I'm going to go for a Rock Blast, because this should be able to grab me a shield advantage, because Rock Blast will hit for super effective. Now, I can send in Quagsire, and despite being down energy, Quagsire should be able to do very well, as Quagsire is bulky. Look at this. Crunch doesn't even get us into the yellow. No debuff, thankfully. And this Stone Edge, it does seem like Stone Edge might not KO, because Quagsire, well, being bulky, does not have too much attack. But it looks like the opponent shielded it. Now, I'm going to be able to shield the Aqua Tail and go for a Stone Edge. Now, I still don't think Stone Edge KOs, because the Mud Shots are doing virtually nothing. So, well, I can go for a Stone Edge, it won't KO, and we can't farm down. Thankfully, the opponent will be forced to throw. That's fine. Then go for the Aqua Tail. Now, I can bring in Staraptor, and those 2 wing attacks plus a shield advantage does mean that Walrein kind of just loses. Like, 1 close combat doesn't KO, but I can just switch out into Heracross and maybe get a snipe. Still does huge damage, and we get the snipe. And now, what's the opponent got in the back? Oh, it's Shadow Dragonite. This is not over. One rock Blast does not KO. And now, it does look like we are going to be able to get them low enough, but if we weren't able to get them low enough, they could probably just Dragon Breath through Staraptor, because of how glassy both of the Pokemon are. Thankfully, we get them low enough that we can take them out with the wing attacks, and we are able to take that game. We see Aurorus on the lead again in the next battle. The opponent stays in, and taking huge counter damage, and then they send in Shadow Venusaur. Now, a lot of Venusaur think that I will have close combat and Rock Blast, but nope, we have Mega Horn. Now, I do snipe the Staraptor. Frankly, I probably should have stayed in with Heracross, but I don't. Now, the opponent is going to send an Aurorus, and Aurorus can go for a Meteor Beam, actually. So, they were trying to guarantee the KO, I guess. And now, I can go for a Rock Blast onto the Aurorus. Rock Blast does take him out, and now in the back, it's Gliscor. This game is certainly not over, as we're giving them a huge energy advantage. Now, they get like 6 wing attacks, and I send in my Quagsire. Now, I'm not running Aqua Tail because it's definitely not because of the fact that I don't have enough Elite TMs. It's more because of the fact that I just did not have this one for the Community Day. I think I got it either before and evolved it or after it, but either way, I don't have Aqua Tail. But if I did, I'd probably win this match. Now, they did go straight Earthquake, and that is awful, because like I should be no-shielding the first move here, but my opponent takes advantage of the tendency of people to do that, and now they can just go straight Aerial Ace. I should be able to make it to a Mud Bomb and a Stone Edge, but unless my opponent feels like trying to flex by no-shielding a Mud Bomb, then we do lose this game. Because I can go for a Stone Edge, but the opponent still has a shield, and they will be able to go for an Aerial Ace, and Aerial Ace will take out Quagsire, and we do unfortunately lose that game. Overall, Quagsire in the Ultra Premier seems pretty fun. Like, it does have the ground and water type, which is very strong, but it also is a lot bulkier than Swampert, and I don't think many people are prepared for it. It's like kind of like Altaria in that way, because like in the Open Ultra League, there's basically only Dragonite as the Dragon Flying type, so like a bulkier version of the same type is always going to catch people off guard. So I feel like it has a similar thing as Altaria, which does mean it gets play because of that. Now, I do think that Quagsire is overall very fun, and one of these days I might give it Aqua Tail if I get enough TMs, like enough charge TMs, but until then, it is going to be stuck with Stone Edge, regardless of whether or not that wins or loses matchups. So, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.